Good morning, everybody. This is Saturday morning. It's going to be a nice weekend. This is we're going to have about 95 degrees today, and the wind is going to be about 30 miles an hour. As you can see out there, I got hay ready to go. I cut a few swaths Thursday, and so basically that pasture over there is ready to go probably tomorrow. And I have another one on the other side of the shed that'll be ready to go also. But as you can see, it's a clear sky. It's a beautiful day, and be a little warm, but the wind will help keep it cooler. So this morning, I wanted to share with you a new piece of equipment that I bought here last couple weeks. This is made by Vermeer. For those of you who don't know, this is a tedder. It's called TD100. Basically, it's a small tedder. It covers a 9-foot swath. I had the opportunity last night to use it, and I used it on dry crop, which, you're really not supposed to. I mean, it doesn't hurt it, but my crop was dry enough where I could have baled last night, but I like to let it sit at least 2 days before I bale it and make sure it's good and dry. But anyway, just for giggles and chuckles, my wife took some video, which I'll share with you here in a little bit, of me running this through this. It covers a 9-foot swath, if I hadn't said that already. PTO driven, real easy to hook up with this connector. It's really light. You can literally move this around by hand if you need to, or a lawn tractor or a ATV or whatever you got. Basically, you have two sides, driven PTO. They work to the inside when they turn. When you adjust this, you put, from what I gather, you put the tongs like there, and you take this handle and you start tipping until those tongs get about 1/2 inch above the ground, and you're pretty much ready to go. I found out that that's about right. If you cut on taller grass and it's sitting up higher, you probably wouldn't have to go that far, but that's what they recommend, is a 1/2 inch, and that worked out pretty good. I was a little concerned about the size of the tires on it, but they kind of remind me of a lawn tractor front tire, but they're a little bit heavier dutier than that, and they work really well. If you have some rough ground, it will bounce around a little bit. You just have to slow down a little bit. But basically, I was running I think I was going probably about 7 to 10 miles an hour with this PTO at 1,500 RPMs. And she was doing a nice job. Like I said, I was doing dry crop, and they tell you that you can run these. A lot of guys cut, and then when they're done cutting, they'll run a tedder over it and kind of fluffs it up and kind of speeds up the drying process. I did not buy this for that use. Here in Nebraska, where we live, you do not see very many of these. They're not used widely because we do not have a problem with, well, I shouldn't say that. We have high humidity, but we don't really have a problem getting the crop to dry out, especially on a day like this with wind and sun. It dries pretty quick. But one of the reasons I got this is I get stuck all the time, like a day like this. Kind of brings up thunderstorms. You'll have a thunderstorm pop up, and then you get in trouble. You get kind of screwed. So I've had that happen about 3 or 4 years here in a row. As I'll cut, thunderstorm pops up, gets the crop wet, and because of my V-rake, you kind of have to let it set out and dry. It hasn't been a huge issue, but I have had a couple times where crop got dried. Went out and raked it, ready to bale, And before I could hook onto the baler and get it baled, a thunderstorm came up again and wet the crop. So this is going to come in real handy. I don't see me using it a lot, but I may end up using it more than I think to flip the crop when it's a little heavier maybe and a little damp underneath. But for right now, I'll show you here a little video that we took last night of it tossing around what I cut Thursday. So Vermeer's not paying me to do this. It's strictly on my own, but quite frankly, I think it's a nice piece of equipment. They also make one like this. I don't know the number on it, but it's double the size, so you can rake two 9-foots, or TED 2 9-foots swaths. And but I picked this up for a pretty good price, so I couldn't let it go. I thought, well, it'll probably sit around more than I use it. But anyway, so there you go. There's pretty easy to work with. I will say this one thing, and this is just for me, not for anybody else. I'm not telling anybody else. But when I got this, it had a frame built around it, and it's basically, it's a protection frame. It comes out past the teeth here by about 1 foot, and on the other side 1 foot, and literally out the back the same. And the reason they have it on here, in fact, I can kind of show you what it looks like back here behind the swather. The reason I took them off was just basically because of storage. So there's the frames right there. And basically it's a storage issue. Is I have limited space in my shed to put stuff, and I like keeping most of my stuff in the shed, as you guys have seen. So by taking the frame off, that literally makes this half the size of what it was. So I can really scoot it around to about anywhere that I want to put it. And in the wintertime, when it comes up and it's not being used, I can drop the tongue down. I can put my other rake, basically park it over top of half of it. And so that's the reason I took it off. You do have to be careful. You do not want to have animals around this when these things are moving, because they will hurt you. You don't want to have people around it either. You really don't want anybody around it. And you don't want to get off your tractor and come back here when that thing is moving. I tedded yesterday with like I said, the video you're going to see shortly, about 1,500 RPM. I was going about 7 to 10 miles an hour, and it does a wonderful job, but it will hurt you. So you need to be careful with that. I would not recommend taking off the frame. For my benefit, I did. So couple of very easy to maintain and grease. You have 2 grease zerks, one here, one on the other side. You have a grease zerk on the side of this. You have grease zerks in the bell and in the end of the PTO, and that's pretty much it. Very easy, very lightweight, nice little unit. So I'll show you the video here. If you like these videos, please subscribe, like, give me a thumbs up, and share with your friends and neighbors.